Rambam. Okay, it's a Maamar from Shabbos Parshas Shmini, Parshas HaChodesh, Mevorch HaChodesh Nisan Tavshin Lamed. Similar to this year, where it's Shabbos Parshas Shmini and Parshas HaChodesh. HaChodesh has a Lochem Rosh Chodashim. This month for you is the head of months. Rishnu Lochem L'Chodesh Hashvan. It's the first for you for the months of the year. It's known the question that we have about this. Why does he repeat the idea by saying this is the first for you for the months of the year? Maamar says earlier, this month is for you heads of months. Why does he have to repeat it? It's the first for you for the months of the year. We already said it's the head of the month. Well, saying you're moving from the general idea, it's understood from this. There are two levels. Aleph, the first level is Rosh Chodashim, heads of months. This month for you is head of months. Rosh Chodosh. Is and the second concept that is Chodshei Hashana, that is the months of the year. Rishon Lachem L'Chodshei Hashana, it's the first for you for the months of the year. So there's head of months and there's months of the year. It's not we need to understand the concept, the difference between these two things. And also we need to understand Mashakasav HaChodesh Hazeh says this month, the Kipshutai Chayal Nisan, in the simple sense, it's referring to the month of Nisan. The month of Nisan wasn't that day. Like it's brought down Mechilta and Rashi, that when was Moshe Rabbeinu told that about the month of Nisan and about the Korban Pesach. It was on the first of Nisan. He was on Chodesh Nisan when he was being told this. If so, so even without it, he knew it was talking about that time. He's talking about now, when he's experiencing it. Therefore, why do you have to tell him this month for you is the first of the months, the head of the months, etc. He knew we're talking about this month. This is when we're talking about. Especially, this is the first command that Hashem gave to the Yidden as Yidden, because beforehand, any commands were only to individuals. Anything Avraham Avinu was told individually to keep the Brit Milah and so on. This is the first thing that was told to the Yidden as the Yidden. The close, the general explanation of this is the Hazeh Koy al Resh Koy. The word Hazeh, the Chazal explain, indicates the idea of Resh Chodesh. The Chol Resh Chodesh Nikra Hazeh. Not just at the time that Moshe Rabbeinu was talking about, but every Resh Chodesh is called Hazeh. Is a Gemara B'Sugya the Matan Torah Masechet Shabbos, like it's brought down the Gemara in the Sugya that discusses all different types of things about Matan Torah. So it says over there, the Lekula Alme, according to all opinions, Beresh Chodesh Asal Midbar Sinai, that the Yidden arrived in the wilderness of Sinai, where eventually they would receive the Torah on Har Sinai. All opinions agree that they arrived on Resh Chodesh. There's a disagreement what day was the actual Matan Torah. Was it on the 6th of Sivan? Was it on a different day? But Resh Chodesh, according to everybody, they arrived there. And how do we know this? As I'll say, the Gamrin and Hazeh, we learn it out because there's the Gzeir Shavuot Hazeh. It says over here when it talks about the Yidden arriving in Midbar Sinai, it says in this day they came to Midbar Sinai, which is really like a strange expression. In this day, what day? They came to Midbar Sinai. What's the date? Ksiv Hasam, and it says over there, meaning it says earlier in Parshas Bay, HaChodesh Hazeh Rosh Chodashim, this month for you is the head of months. So we make a Gzeir Shavuot Hazeh, and just like when it says HaChodesh Hazeh Rosh Chodashim, it's referring to Rosh Chodesh. The same thing by Yom Hazeh Bo Midbar Sinai, it's referring to Rosh Chodesh. The different Rosh Chodesh Sivan. But what do we see from it? That Hazeh indicates the idea of Rosh Chodesh. Moving from this understood, the Iker Inyan Zeh, the primary idea of the word Zeh, when we use the word Zeh, it's the idea of Rosh Chodesh. I'm sorry. The So we see that Hazem means Rosh Chodesh. But how do we derive it? We derive it from the month of Nisan. So the Iker Inyan Zeh, the main idea that of Rosh Chodesh is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Nimshach, B'chol Rosh Chodesh, it comes out, and to every Rosh Chodesh. This is what it says. It's the first for you for the months of the year. And since the head of the month includes in it all the days of the month, that's why it's called a head, not the first of the month or the beginning of the month. Similar to the head that includes in it all the limbs and organs of the body. So it comes out the level of Zeh from the head of the month over to the entire days of the month. So there is different stages of how the day and the beginning of Nisan relates to the months of the year, relates to the days of the month. So the Rebbe is going to sum it up. Moving from all this understood, that there are three aspects of it. The Iker in Yana, Yubaresh Chodesh Nisan, the main thing is in the head of the month of Nisan. Umeresh Chodesh Nisan, and from the head of the month of Nisan, it's Nimshach B'Gzeira Shava L'Sharish Chodosh B'Lashon. It comes down by Gzeira Shava to other Rosh Chodoshim of the year, as we said before, that we learn out from Rosh Chodesh Nisan that other Rosh Chodesh are also called Hazeh, or you have by the Hazeh, the idea of Rosh Chodesh Nisan transplanted in the other months of the year. From every Rosh Chodesh, it comes down for all the days of the month. So therefore, you have like three stages: Rosh Chodesh Nisan, all other Rosh Chodashim, and from all other Rosh Chodashim to all individual days. And this all starts from the word Zeh, Hazeh, that says by Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Because it all starts with the word Zeh and Hazeh, so the Rebbe is going to explain the significance of that word Zeh. Second paragraph. In the Zeh, the idea of Zeh, Yuvan Behegdim HaHefesh Ben Zeh L'Koy, it will be understood by first prefacing the difference between Zeh and Koy. Koy is like this. The Koy Usha Einer Royes Musadam. Koy means you don't actually see the thing. You're saying, like this. It's similar. Only through external proofs does he know the thing, because he doesn't have like direct connection with the thing, a direct appreciation, a direct vision of the thing, but rather it's like this. As opposed to Zeh. Zeh means, like we always say, he points with his finger and he says this. He knows this clearly. He sees the very matter itself. And that's the difference between Moshe to all other Nevi'im. The Chol Nevi'im is Nabu B'Koi, all the other Nevi'im, all the other prophets said, Koi Amar Hashem. Like this, Hashem said, meaning they don't have like a direct knowledge of knowing Hashem in a direct fashion. They only know from like externalities because Hashem's communication and so on. But Moshe had something additional to all the other Nevi'im, that he, when he said prophecy, he said this is the matter that Hashem spoke. This is very clear and open, and you actually see the thing itself. The Bishar Hanavim Loya Raya Babirur Hariya Babirur Vimhusalakus. And all the other Navim, there was no vision and clarity in the very being of God. They only saw about God. Thanking Moshe Ram Vimhusalakus as opposed to Moshe saw the very being of godliness. This is what is brought down. All the other Nevi'im saw through a lens that is not luminous. And we can explain right now what that non-luminous lens is, until the expression is such a degree. Like the expression is brought down actually in other places, aspaklaria miluchleches, not on the second page. A dirty lens. What does it add by saying that's not a shining lens, but it's a dirty lens? The difference between a dirty lens and a non-shining lens, that non-luminous lens is that the light is not shining and the light does not pass through the lens. As opposed to a dirty lens, not only does the light not pass through the lens, it is the opposite and in opposition to the light. It's like something that's fighting the light. It's for whatever reason not a see-through lens, so it's not a see-through lens. But if it's something that is dirty, so then it's something that is, the dirt is like the antithesis of light. This is also corresponding to what's explained. Moshe Rabbeinu was unique amongst all the Nevi'im, that Moshe Rabbeinu could stand completely conscious, completely awake, while he received prophecy. In other words, he wasn't overwhelmed by the vision and the revelation of Hashem, whereas all the other Nevi'im, it was too much for their physical body to handle, and they were overwhelmed by it. Also, the body of Moshe Rabbeinu was a vessel for godliness, as opposed to all other prophets. That their body was not a vessel for Elikus. So this is similar to the relationship that Moshe Rabbeinu had with Hashem, that it was a clear lens. So his body was also something that was, in a way, transparent and allowed godliness to flow through it and wasn't at loggerheads with the revelation. But not only was the body not a vessel and did not allow for the light to pass through them and to enter their body, but their body like fainted or had to be unconscious when the neshama received the nevuah. Even more so, the physicality and the coarseness of the body would conceal and cover over on the prophecy, and therefore the body had to be like shunted aside while prophecy was taking place. As opposed to Moshe Rabbeinu, his body was a vessel for godliness. Maamar should never put him, like it says in the Maamar that the Rebbe said that year in Tafshin Lamed, and put him. The Rebbe brought down over there concerning Moshe Rabbeinu. It says, that the Chevet saw that Moshe Rabbeinu was good. The question is, what was this goodness that she saw when Moshe Rabbeinu was born? What was so good? They said the Kishen Nismala Habayis Kula Oira. When Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the entire house was filled with light, because Toiv is associated with light, as we have at the beginning of creation. It says, and Hashem saw that the light was good. So we see that Oir and Toiv are related to each other. So when she saw that he was good, that means that the house was filled with light. But the this was a result of the body, meaning that the body did not conceal the godliness that's usually hidden by the body, and doesn't is not allowed to become revealed. This is also connected with the other explanation. What does it mean that he was toiv? Toiv, one of the perushim is that he was born mahul already. He already had a bris milah. Again, what does that indicate? It's not about the neshama, it's about the perfection of the body. It's a hoya, the gufa agashmi, this was in his physical body, shoyatomim, that he was complete. The gufa agashmi, hoya, biskashas, belukos, bris oilam, his physical body was in a bond with godliness, in an everlasting covenant. Meaning, afilu koidem avodas neshama. This is the way he was born, before the avodah of the neshama. His very body was in a state of being circumcised that was already had this everlasting connection with Hashem without any type of effort. So therefore, we see the unique nature of Moshe Rabbeinu's body. Therefore, he was able to stand fully awake and aware and conscious during receiving nevuah. In his physical body, and his prophecy was in such a way that he actually saw godliness itself, that he was able to say Zeh hadavar, this, and it wasn't a way of cut. Any questions before we go on? Second paragraph on the second page of the mic. So close a hefresh ben shimsha v'siyah. The difference between Zeh and Koi is the difference between the sun and the moon. The sun is a full revelation. The moon is only reflecting and therefore minimizing the light of the sun. So you're not actually seeing the sunlight itself. You're only seeing a reflection of it. Zeh versus Koi. The moon has nothing of its own. It's a non-luminous lens, because just like a non-luminous lens often is referred to as a mirror, you're not seeing directly the object, you're seeing only a reflection. Same thing at the moon, you're not seeing the light itself, you're only seeing a reflection of the light. The shimsha, but the sun, he has paklaria meira, is the luminous lens. You're seeing the sun itself, you're seeing the light itself. So, this difference between the sun and the moon is the difference between Malchus, the way it descends to the worlds of Bri Yitzirasi. Charles Nemar, concerning this descent into Bia, it says, Misham Yiparit, that from there it will separate, meaning because in Bia, where there's already creation, so there's already the idea of separation from godliness. In Atzilus, it's everything is united and joined with Hashem, so there's no separation from godliness. When Malchus descends into Bia, then there's separation. And therefore, Shesham, in Bia, there cannot be seeing in the very being of godliness, the level of Zeh, only the level of Koi. But Malchus itself, the way it has not yet descended in Bia, the way it's in the world of Atzilus, it's the fullness and completion of Emunah, has to do with Malchus, but it means that in its most perfect state, it's not separated from godliness. So then Malchus is in the level of Zeh. So that's one way in the Olam Yonim how we can differentiate a level that's Zeh and a level of Koi. Malchus itself has both levels. Malchus, the way it descends into Bia, is Koi. Malchus Natzilus is Zeh. Now he's going to explain between spheres of Atzilus itself, not between two levels of Malchus, but Malchus and higher than Malchus. Yes, basically, there are both of these levels of Zeh and Koi in Atzilus itself. The Midas are called Zeh. that's always likened to the sun. That's the original source of the light. Malchus nikra koi, Malchus is called koi. The klolus inyan hanavua matzilus, the general idea of prophecy, that comes from Atzilus. Aval achar kach, but afterwards, nimshechas aidei slapshus begimel beyond. Afterwards, the nevuah comes down through becoming enclosed in the three worlds of Bri Yitzir Asiyah. So, if there's two types of nevuah, and nevuah in general comes from Atzilus, so you need to have these different types of nevuah. The nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu, that's Zeh, and the nevuah of other neviim, that's in Koi, has to start off already in Atzilus. Then further, once it comes down to Biyah, it comes down even further to different neviim in a different way. That's why there were differences between the prophecy of one Navi to a different Navi. That the differences in prophecy between different Navi, not just between Moshe and other Navi, but between other Navi themselves. So it depended, Malchus, the way it was enclosed in the worlds, because all the other Nevi'im, they said Koi, which we said Koi had to do with Malchus. But Malchus itself could be the way they received the Nevuah, the way Malchus comes down B'Bria in the world of Bria, or the way they received the Nevuah from Malchus, the way Yitzira, the way it came down to Yitzira. Ba'asiyah, they received the Nevuah from Malchus, the way it came down in Asiyah. So much Kasa B'Torah, B'Drush Megillas Esther. This is what it says in Torah, in the Maamar Megillas Esther. The Malchus Mitzad Atzma Nikra Koch. Malchus on its own, Malchus Mitzad Atzma Nikra Koi. Malchus on its own is called the level of Koi, like we said before. Malchus is Koi, and Zah is Zeh. But the way it descends to the Bria Tziyasiyah, it's already even lower level than Koi. It's Kacha. I guess the extra Chav shows on an extra form of likeness. The word, the letter Chav, always as a prefix, always indicates that it's only like something. It says, Chazal say, like yourself. It's not the same thing, like it's not identical, it's only like, similar to. So adding another chav to it, kacha, not just koi, means it's not even koi, it's a level that's like even similar to the koi. So that's even a lower level. It says kacha because we have in Megillas Esther, we have this the Maamar Megillas Esther that he says in Torah, speaks a lot about the kacha yasalish and so on. So now getting back to Rosh Chodesh, we said we identified Rosh Chodesh with Zeh. And we were trying to understand Zeh from the difference of Moshe Rabbeinu and all the other Nevi'im. Now we can apply it back to Rosh Chodesh. Zeh in Rosh Chodesh, who Yichud Shimshu Asir, Rosh Chodesh is the union of the sun and the moon. Literally, what happens in Rosh Chodesh, that you have the moon is now receiving, after being not illuminating the light of the sun, now it's starting to illuminate it again. The moon is a level of Malchus, the level of Koi, the non-luminous lens concealment. Yichud Shimshu and the union of the sun and the moon. It's that the moon receives its light from the sun. That's where it says Chodesh associated with Ishtoi, the level of Mekabel. Mekabel has to do with the level of the Levana, that has to do with the Chiddush HaLevana on every new month. That's the head of the month, and that's the birth of the moon. From the middle of the month. And further, the light of the moon is decreasing until the last moment before the birth of the new moon. It remains completely concealed. At the moment of the birth of the new moon, it's only a point, very small amount of light. Now it becomes renewed and receiving its light from the sun. That's the union of the sun and the moon. What does that indicate spiritually? This means the level of Zeh, which we said is Shimsha, which is the sun. Top of the third page, should also come down in the level of Koi as well. Meaning, what does that mean again? Baruchnius, when we have the union of the sun, the moon, the Zeh comes into the Koi and so on. Also in the worlds of Bri Yitzirasi, should come down the level of Zeh that will be the vision in the very being and essence of godliness. That is the level of the union, and that's what Rosh Chodesh is about. So, this is also what it says. We say this by Kiddush Levana, that we're saying that the Yidden, when Mashiach comes, Shem Asidim Lischadish Kamois, that in the future, the Yidden will become renewed like the moon. To Ilui Gadol. It's a very great elevation, because now we will, when Mashiach comes, we will receive this greater elevation, this level of Zeh, the Re'iyas Mehus Alakus, which now we do not have. It refers to the revelation of Mashiach. Now he's going to bring down a classic thing about the idea of the Rosh Chodesh of Geula and so on. But he's going to say that separately, and then tomorrow we're going to connect it with our topic that we're just now talking about, Koi and Zeh. In the Sefer Akeda Kosav, and the Sefer Akeda he wrote, the Dulas Avoid on Yechon later, based upon greatness of the Creator. It's possible to become aware of it in two manners. Aleph, one way of being aware of Hashem's greatness, and Manhagas Ateva, is from the way nature runs. I know on Hagat Midish Misnai Talmud Boy from Echad Belishina has a constant way how the world runs, in one manner, without any change and without ceasing, that it's always going. This is also what the Chazal say, we do not rely on a miracle. A person needs to do things in a natural way, and he's not allowed to place himself in danger and say, you know what, Hashem will make me a miracle to save me. Why is that so? Because we need to do things according to the rules of nature. And that rules of nature is also godly and also divine. Is another way how we can recognize Hashem's greatness. It's from the way Hashem runs the world beyond nature. And this is a miraculous way. In the nest, until such a miracle, concerning that miracle, we say, he does wonders for himself, meaning it's only he himself recognizes the wonders. That the one who's on the receiving end of the miracle does not recognize and is unaware of the nest. So, these two approaches of Hashem's greatness, awareness of Hashem, is the difference between the month of Tishrei and the month of Nis. The Chodesh Tishrei Hunyan Hagativ is the month of Tishrei, is the normal, natural way how the world runs. Maamar Chazal say, when Hashem shows His world covered by Rosh Chodesh and V'Shanim, established in it heads of months and years. And the way how He runs the month of Nisan, that is the miraculous way of running the world. When he chose Yaakov and his children, he established in it ahead of month of redemption. Because of this miraculous way of running the world, that's why Nisan is the head of months. But there's still now the idea of years, and years that has to do with Tishrei. In other words, there's both approaches, the miraculous and the natural, and both of them are ways of appreciating Hashem. That's what Rashi explains on the pasuk. In the month of the mighty ones, in the Yom Tov, so it says, what's the month of the mighty ones. What's it referring to when it says in Malachim, the month of the mighty ones? So a sonim could also mean ancient. So it's the month of the ancient ones that Rashi explains. That tikayu koirin li tishrei yarchakadma. The ancient ones called Tishrei the first month. Before Hashem chose the Hainum Shabach HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Elami, from when Hashem chose His world, Gizel Mashakos about the Kaya Korn Lakatma. That's where it says that the ancient ones called it Tishrei the first. That's the way it was prior to Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, the first day, the first month was Tishrei. The Proteus, and specifically, before Hashem said so then Tishrei was also the first month. And the Rebbe is going to connect this back to the idea of Yichud Shimshu Vasira, and actually is going to bring in Purim as well into this mind.